Good morning, guys. Welcome to this Friday, November 7th. Thank God it's Friday. It's been a risk-off week, hasn't it? Well, today we were supposed to get that the employment situation. That's not going to happen. Government is still shut down, and we just kind of have to fly blind. I didn't think that number was that great anyway, but it's too many adjustments and stuff on it. But at this point, we definitely have a pretty interesting dynamic going on in the market. Uh, the Overnight, it's just a risk off overnight. It just doesn't look very promising at all. I'm gonna adjust this edge when I have it now. It's nice little rotation up there. I'm gonna do one more adjustment on this edge. I had was looking at this thing here now. They did run it a little bit lower here again. So we're gonna lean that in there. Uh, Capture that edge before the market's open because that's going to be likely to be retested. Looking at our ES capital flow. I'm still looking at ES. That's not ES. I got to come myself confused on my notes. That's not ES. That's a good quiet. I was like, what? That doesn't look right. This is the one I'm looking at. Friday morning, guys. Come on. Anyway, so here you have the the ES weakness, weakness, weakness. We had another extension to the downside. We have another extension today. So we're still in stage one. We're still moving this lower, but you can see we are pretty much in an orderly move under the middle to the downside. We're extending every day a little bit and then backing off, and we'll see. I mean, they're still moving it lower, and we are right down here to this attractor now at 6,700. Testing that level. We'll see how far it's going to get. I mean, we can see probably even see a test down here at the 6,600. It would not surprise me either. But at this point, I'm going to take the capital flow and change the direction on that guy because it's not pointing higher right now. It's range bound and it's starting to shift to the downside. So this kind of implies like now we have about 4 days of risk off kind of trading. You may want to count in one more day. I mean, it's almost 5 days for maybe 5 days, depends on how you want to read it. But it is kind of risk off days, and the market is correcting. It's not just a 1 day pullback and then retracement. It is a little bit more of a risk off move at this point. Had a pretty good rally the last few months, so it's the months we were supposed to get all the weakness turned into be just a couple of days in the beginning of the month and then pretty much strength. So I guess it's the hangover right now we're getting. So so I would trade it from the short side of the market to get started. We are still in the mood extension to the downside mode. They have taken out yesterday's low with a lot, but they have taken it out and it's convincing. So at this point, we're going to look to sell strength, 67.35s, the 45s up to that 70s for rotations down. There may be an edge in here at the around about this area right there at the 67.60s. And I took it off because it had been trading back and forth around this area for a bit. I don't think the edge is that strong right now. It could be an attractor area, so worth paying attention to. I'm not going to put the level there right now. So initially looking to sell strength 67.35, 45s up to that 70 level. If they get up above 70, we may have a shot at getting back up into this upper range. But they kind of had to clear that 6,800 before we really started getting excited about the long side again. So this whole area here from that 67.70 up to the 6,800s, a 30-point range, it's pretty much a resistance area to get through. But initially, if we get up above that 67, the 67.70s, I would take off the short bias and go back more range bound. Watching that 6,800 up here. So this area is our range bound range. If they get up above that 6,800, then we'll be back on the long side. So it can happen pretty quick if they decide they want to add some risk to the equation. But right now it feels very much like we are still in a risk off mode. Overnight like this usually is range bound. But the last couple of overnights we had more strength. Right now we are getting absolute weakness. I'm not hopeful for the day session at all. We'll see how bad it's going to get. And as I said, we are down in this lower range, this attractor now. The day session can run us right into this area here and retrace and test this whole area of low volume. So that would be a pretty big area, 6650 down to the 6500s. So that could be an area for them to test as well. That's and this could be it's pretty wide, so it hasn't been trading there a lot. So we can certainly see a test of that area. Watch that lower area. If they start moving this lower, it's going to be a pretty good down day if that happens. But they're going to be down here at the 6630s, and if they start taking that out, bets are off. We could see in a pretty good flush to the downside at that point. So right now we're right in that lower range. The 6600 is going to be the lower end of that range, 6600 to 6630. We are pointed lower to get started. Capital flow is going pretty much range bound, starting to shift to the downside. So yeah, we'll see. We just had to watch it and let's trade what we see. But at this point, we're starting and trading this from the short side. If they trade up above that 6760s, 6770s, this upper area, then we're back. Then we are going to be back range bound, and above that 6800s, you can start considering the long side. But you still the potential short setups against the 6780s, 95s, 6805 here for rotations down. It's just not as aggressive on those because you're up here flirting with this right now. If you get that far, start retracing in this area. There could be a case for a couple of long trades as you break out of these resistance areas, but I would still be looking for shorts all the way up to that 6800, just not as aggressively. So let's see how that whole thing shakes out today. It's going to be news. We have no news to drive the market. Really, the consumer sentiment at 10. Employment situation was supposed to come out at 8:30, and then we have consumer sentiment at 10. I don't know. Maybe sentiment comes out. The employment situation will not. Bonds and the Nasdaq. So bond market is not indicating flight to safety in overnight. So they kind of backed off a little bit. So bond market is not signaling that it's a crazy sell-off. I mean, we had a little bit of flight to safety look for yesterday, or it could have been a retracement of this move down here from the. This was the. Oh, it kind of slips my mind. There was an event here which took this lower, started repricing this to the downside. And what the hell was that? Slipped my mind. Anyway, 2 days ago, Wednesday. So looking at the news thing. ADP number came out. Maybe the ADP numbers came out here, which caused that little repricing. But they started with a pretty good repricing to the downside on the bond market. And then they kind of reversed that right now. So it could be part of that. It could also be that yesterday's move was a little bit of flight to safety, but it's not like we are rocketing up on the bonds. So flight to safety is kind of lukewarm, and that's a good sign. If in a real risk-off environment, the bond market is trading higher, stocks and everything is going lower. So I would start off range bound on the bond market, looking to sell strength, 1708. 1713s up to the 1716s. You're looking to buy weakness, 1702, 1630 down to that 1624. So 3 levels up, 3 levels down. Let's see if they're going to move directionally or not. But not going to be super aggressive either way on the bond market. But it is not a bad sign if it's holding on like that. On the Nasdaq, and I'm going to adjust my Nasdaq as well a bit since we had a little probe to the downside, kind of capture that guy a little bit better. And so this guy is going to come down just a tad, like that. I'm going to leave these levels down here because these are old levels from before. That's only adjusting and making dropping that based on that little probe to the downside. So in the day session, then we'll see if they keep probing lower. I'm not touching these levels again. So definitely a little bit more risk off on the Nasdaq. As you can see, they took out the low of yesterday, the 200s. They're down here at the 25,000s now. So yeah, 1,000 points down on the Nasdaq. And that's not bad. I mean, we've been in 26 and change on the Nasdaq, so forget how high we went on that one. Let me see here. Capital flow on the Nasdaq is, I mean, we did a pretty good move to the downside before. So the highs here was at 26.3. So we are 1,300 points to the downside right now. That's nothing. That's not nothing. So definitely move to the downside, and we're down here in this range. And Nasdaq doesn't have a lot more range before we get down here to that. We had to be all the way down to the 24,000. Not sure we're going to get that weak, but you never know. This could certainly accelerate to the downside. It's not by any means that this dip right now is not yet getting bought. It's getting bought, as you can see when they have these days when we're close to the upside, and then back off at the very end. But it's definitely getting bought, but it's not enough to turn it. So there's still risk off, getting bought in late session, and then you're still getting selling in the overnight. So still risk off mode, still traded from the short side of the market. On the Nasdaq, I would watch these levels here. If they start taking out that 24,600s, that's when we start had to worry about the short side in a bigger way, and below the 400s, yeah, this 400 to 600 level or range, that comes out, we're going to be in some problems on the Nasdaq. You see a lot more risk off stuff. So that's where we are on the Nasdaq. Looking to sell strength. Move this one back up again. Drag it down a little bit. So we're starting there. Looking to sell against the 25, 150, 200s, 230s, up to that 350s. I didn't put in this edge right here. Well, maybe I should put it back in again. Well, no, I'm not going to leave it off. This could have been an edge in here, a level or two. Pay attention, but you can see how they ran over that back and forth yesterday. So that edge kind of mellowed out a bit. So I'm going to leave it off. This whole area could be there could be something in between here, but nothing I can really mark up with any confidence. So looking for short setups against the 150s, 200s, 230s, up to that 350 level, rotations down. It starts trading above that 350, the session highs. I think it'll go back range bound. Still looking for short setups all the way up here too, until we get up to, look at this guy. It has to be the 25, 350. No, that's this guy. We had to get even higher. So if they keep snapping back there, you have to stall it. But if they get up above that 370, 350, we may have a shot at getting back up in action. And it's we're getting into that big area of low volume, which we took out on the way down. So they get up above this area, that 360, 370. With this up here, it's the session highs right now. We have a shot at starting to retrace to the upside. I would give it above this area, the 550s, before I really start getting excited about it. But because you can certainly probe here and then fail again. But that's kind of how I'm looking at it. So looking for short setups up to that upper edge. Above that one, we go back range bound. Still looking for shorts up to that 550 level. And then above that, then we'll see how that whole thing shakes out. So that would be up to the 550. So looking for shorts against these areas, the 400s, 440s, 480s, 530s for rotations back down again. And above that 530, 540s here, that's when we start thinking, okay, maybe we have an actual rally on our hands. But it looks pretty freaking weak to get started. So looking to sell strength on the ES and NASDAQ. And then finally, oil and gold. Messy screen, because I don't know my stuff over it. The gold is pretty much just kind of flopping in a range. So sitting here, trading in a range, I would just stay range bound on gold. Look to buy weakness. Again, it's minor adjustment there. There you go. We cover that lower edge. So as we start the day session right now in Y period. On 8 to just start right now. We have a lower edge to lean against. So looking to buy against the 4,000s, 39.90s, 39.80s, down to the 39.70s. Looking to sell strength, 4,016 to 17, 27s, up to that the 40s for rotations down. About 40s may have a direction to the upside. below the 70s, we may have a direction to the downside. But starting off range bound on gold, as you can see, gold has installed the craziness and definitely going back pretty range bound right now, building value around 4,000. It's kind of funny though. We talked about installing and running to 4,000 installing. They kind of overshot it with $400, and then they retraced it hard and then overshot to the downside $100, and now they're back up to 4,000. Roundabout way to get there, right? I haven't traded all or gold lately, but if the opportunity presents itself, fine. But sloppy gold, sideways action on gold, just not easy to trade. It's better than the crazy volatility we had, but it's still, you have to just pick your opportunities when you try to trade it. And oil is just kind of trading back up again a bit. I'm here to 60 again, so probably to the downside, didn't hold it back up here in this area. And I would just stay range bound trading on oil. So look to sell strength, 60.50, 60.80, 61s, up to that 61.40s. Look to buy weakness against the 59.80s, 59.50s. And now we can actually include that 58.80s. That would be a shift. I had to take the shift the bias to the downside if the 58.50 comes out. But we're still looking to buy against that 58.90. Now we have a pretty good ledge there to lean against. So, but the trade below that 59.50, I would take off the and we go from range bound to start leaning short again. See if they want to take it lower. So that's oil. So pretty much range bound oil, range bound gold right now. Not much else to say about those two. I think the action right now is going to be the ES and the NASDAQ, and see if they where they're going to go for the day session. So, all righty, guys. Back to the ES, and that's kind of where we left it. So let's see how crazy this Friday is going to get. But it is a Friday, so trade it with some caution. And I'll see you guys back at 11:30 for the next update. So good trading, guys. And I'll see you guys back then.